My frustration grows a little bit. What I did is grounded it to this, there's a metal bracket that holds the shelving unit on, and I actually got the lights to turn on. Now, I got the lights to turn on by two different wires. If I did the gray wire, these lights up here would go on. If I also did the 8th wire, it's I'm sorry, it's on this one. The purple with the white stripe wire, yeah, purple with white stripe, also got these lights to go on. Then I don't know what happened. For some reason it just stopped working. Now what I did is tried to wring some more of these wires out, and I think I got a dead short, not on a green wire but on a different colored wire. And after that kind of happened, I couldn't get these lights to work again. Now, whether there is a circuit breaker in here or not, I'm not really sure. I've got the panel off, and I was trying to get to the wires behind it, but you really can't get to it. The wires are so short, you really can't pull that panel out very far. So my frustration continues to grow a little bit. I did pull those lights. After I couldn't get the lights to work anymore, I pulled those lenses off and checked the bulbs to make sure that they still worked, and they do. I can get them to light up. I just don't know whether there's a circuit breaker in here that tripped or something like that, and I just can't figure it out. But, you know, sometimes you get frustrated with something and you're better off just to walk away from it for a little while. So what I'll do is probably get back on it again tomorrow. You know, I'm making this Ford Haul Truck Series video not only just to show you guys what was going on or how I'm doing it or why I'm doing it, but I kind of also show you for maybe a learning experience, an experience that, you know, where I make mistakes where you wouldn't on a project. Now, nobody's saying that you're going to build a project like this, but any project can become frustrating. And the frustration is, let's just call it momentary frustration. You just got to kind of walk away from it and do something else and then come back to it, and usually the problems kind of, I'm not going to say resolve themselves, but resolve themselves in your mind. You know, you weren't looking at it right, you weren't doing something right, you just needed to walk away from it for a little bit and then come back to it. That was my frustration in that previous clip that I just kind of threw in there in the beginning. There's a lot of things that have to be done on this truck, and I'm kind of a one-man show in just doing it. You know, I mean, you see programs on television or programs or videos on YouTube where people are rebuilding cars or rebuilding trucks or doing whatever, and usually it's kind of a teamwork, or they send parts of it out to somebody else to do. I'm kind of a one-man show here, and I've got so many things going on. I'm always thinking about something. You know, I kind of come in, leave off one day in one spot, and then come in the next day and pick up something else, because overnight I might have started thinking about, for example, how the seats are going to fit into it, whether I should lower the floor pan, how big the opening should be in between the sleeper and the cab. How those gauges and switches are going to fit in. It just is an endless thought train of different items on this vehicle that need to be addressed. And sometimes I get frustrated with one thing and just pull off of it and go on to something else. And that's kind of why the video is all over the place, from chapter to chapter, or parts I call them. But you know, maybe in one part or one chapter I leave off doing one thing and the next chapter will start with something else. And I just kind of wanted to explain that, and that's why it's happening. Okay, Ford F750 haul truck. There's a bunch of stuff going on. Now, in past videos, I've talked about getting the components for the engine. I actually still haven't gone down to him to see if he's got them, you know, for the rebuild of the engine, bearings, sleeves, rings, etc., etc. But I actually haven't gone down to him to get them because there's so many other things going on too. Let's talk about the cab. I kind of told you that I wanted to do the electrical on the cab, and that electrical is being done. You know, I got those. I talked about getting the drawings from Peterbilt. Well, they weren't really all that I was, they weren't all cracked up to be what I expected them to be. First of all, they're extremely hard to read. Second of all, I think the way that they reference wires in there is related to something else other than the drawing. What I'm saying is, I think there might be a manual, an electrical manual that goes with it that kind of references where the wires are located. In other words, on that diagram that I got, it shows a black wire and it shows a position like a pin number, one through 0 or 1 through 20 or A through Z. But it doesn't, then it references a location, and that location is what I can't figure out. There's 4 different wiring harnesses that come out that get interconnected to the truck. And that location doesn't reference one of those harnesses. So I can't figure out whether it's a black wire in harness 1, 2, or 3, or 4. I should actually say 1, 2, or 3, because 4 is a power wire that goes to the sleeper. And that's another story. I still haven't figured out that power wire. I have gotten some things working, but I haven't gotten everything working yet. So I'm not sure if that power wire supplies power that some other things work off of, even though, let's say the heater, for example. I haven't gotten the fan motor to run yet in the heater. Now, there's a power wire and there's a console up there with a switch on it to turn the heater fan on and off. But there's also wires in the harness that are tagged for heater fan. If I ping them out or ring them out using a tester or a power probe, it does nothing. If I look for that wire that's supposed to be associated with it, again, that goes back to me not being able to figure out that wiring harness. But I've tested all the wires in there and I've never got the fan to work. Now, is that power cable that I was talking about, the power shows it is bigger wires. It's like 10 gauge. And being a source of power for the sleeper Does that have to be powered at the same time that you ping the other wires out to get the heater fan to work? It's kind of frustrating. I got, you know, I got some things to work and then they stopped working, but I think it was the ground. But let me just say that it's ongoing, and I would like to get some of this things resolved before I try and actually fit the sleeper onto the truck, because it's much easier to work on the sleeper off of the truck than it would be to try and work on it while it was attached to the cab. So that's going to be another issue that we're going to address, and I've kind of already addressed it, but I just don't want to have to be crawling around in there trying to figure this thing out. It would just make the whole process more frustrating. But anyways, so that's one of the things that I'm doing. I've also done some work on some other work that had to be done. You know, I told you about the mounts that I was going to, the front motor mount, there was going to be cross supports coming down off of the frame. I had never finished them, and now I've got them done. Well, I've got them done to where they're on there. They still need to be, one of the holes I only put a 1/4-inch bolt through, but I need to drill them out and get that completed. But basically, stuff like that is done. One of the other things that I kind of wanted to show you, and it was a big kind of screw up on my part, I told you that I was getting some U-bolts for the front axle mount, and I did get those U-bolts in. The only problem is my oversight, or my lack of figuring out what the U-bolts, how they were sized. They came the wrong size. So I had to order some new ones. They wouldn't take these back either. They weren't really that expensive, but see, I got like a 5-inch measurement from center to center. They sold a 5-inch U-bolt, but it's 5 inches from the inside to the inside, not center to center, and that's where I screwed up. So I had to order some new ones. They should be coming in. Once they get in, I'm going to pull that front axle off of there and roll the new axle in there. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I can be giving thought to how I'm going to make that pitman arm adapt to the existing steering box on there. But anyways, so that's going on. I have made progress on the lighting, on the wiring, and I'm going to shut you off here, and we'll go over and take a look at that. I'm also going to show some video of the stuff that I've got working now, just so that you can see it. Okay, so we're over here at the sleeper, and I might have shown you this before. This is my arrangement of battery that I've got. I just keep it charged up using the battery charger. And my power probe tester, got it grounded to the truck, and that's how it's working so far. I've got the interior lights working. Now, I do not have that fluorescent fixture that's inside working. I got the tail lights working, and I will show you all of this, but just let me run through it briefly. I've got the tail lights working. Now, I talked to you before about these cargo lights or backup lights that were on the back, and they had cut them off. And had them just thrown inside of the sleeper when I got it. I got them working. Actually, the bulb was, it looks like it was like corroded, and it was hard to get it working, so I actually pulled the bulb out. Now, in the back of the sleeper, I had told you that they had cut them off, and I could see one wire. Well, what I was able to do is get that wire out far enough to strip it back a little bit so I could get a contact on it. I've taken one of them bulbs and just sat it up there so that I could see when it was working. And that's how I got it. I also got these tail lights working, so I'm gonna kind of set the camera up, show you what I've got working, what I don't have working. Okay, so what I've got used is set up on the tripod in the sleeper. I'm just going to probe the lights for the interior lights and show you what I've got. And hopefully you can see that. So I've got the two map or reading lights over the bunk, and the light that's in the doorway over the cab is working. So there's the light over the cab. I'll shut you off, take you around back. And I just set you up here. What I'm going to do is show you the cargo light. That's a light that I pulled out of that little grommet on the thing. I've got to find the other one, or get the other wire out of there, or otherwise I'm going to have to tear the interior apart to get that wire back out. I'll shut you off and show you the tail lights. And there are the tail lights. So it's coming. Kind of one of the other things that I'm doing, and I'm not really sure if you can see that or not, but what I'm talking about is that probably a couple of months ago, I talked about additionally supporting that front motor mount bracket off of the frame, and I had bent that piece of metal. Well, yesterday I bent this one up to fit onto the other side. I've got to drill it. Then I've got to bend them both over to kind of meet that motor mount. Let me grab a light here, and well, I'm kind of talking. So that's kind of where it's going, is those two holes that are right there, like on this side. It comes down, and as you can see, I've got to bend it in, and I'll cut it off, and I'll drill it so that it mounts onto the cross support, or that front motor mount support. So there is that brace that goes from the frame down to the motor mount. Now all I've got is a 1/4-inch bolt through there. I just put a pilot bit through, 1/4-inch pilot bit, and then I stuck a 1/4-inch bolt in there. What I'll do is, it's kind of a bitch to get in there and drill it out. So once I get the engine out for the rebuild, what I'll do is I'll take and I'll drill that out for 3/8 bolt and nut. Just as there is 3/8 bolt and nut on the top side. And what I'll do is I'll probably put a grade 5 or grade 8 bolts in there. But anyways, there's one side done. Gonna do the other side, probably won't show it. Maybe I'll take you back after I get it all done. And there's the one on the passenger side done. Now what I'll do is, like I said, I only put 1/4-inch bolts through there. I drove a pilot hole through. It's kind of hard to get to it. So when I take it apart, when I get the engine out, I'll take them apart, drill them lower ones for 3/8, get a 3/8 grade nuts and bolts, and put it in there. I'll paint that stuff over it too, that PRO 15 or whatever that is. Okay, so as you can see, we're at the back of the truck, and what I'm going to do today is cut the opening out. There's two reasons why I'm doing it. It has to be done is the first and primary reason, but the second reason is I am still debating about that floor in the cab area and whether I want to lower it. So this will give me a better idea of where or if I want to lower it. So what I have done, this dotted line over here, and I'm not sure whether you can see it, but trust me, there's a dotted line over here, is the inside of the cab opening. I'm going to cut it a little shy of that, just for kind of safety's sake and whatever reason. The other thing I've also done is drill the hole at floor level. It's not really floor level, but there's a bump up in the back of the cab, and I will show that to you later, but that is the bottom of the panel. So I'll probably cut both sides and then try and get the Sawzall blade along that panel line to hold it that way, but here goes. What I'll do is reposition you, and I'll do the same thing over on the other side. I'm going to drill that hole like I did on this side also. I was probably in most of your way there, but it had to happen that way. What I'm probably going to do is get a cutoff wheel so that I can make a slot in here to start the blade with. And what I did is cut the slot over in that corner from the inside with a cutoff wheel. I'm probably going to work that way just because it's probably might be just more convenient for me. There we go. Let me set the camera back up again. Okay, there we go. It's off and it's open. Now what I'd better do is just take some time, take a look at it, and see what I can do for that floor. Okay, so here is the inside of that cab opening, and I told you in a previous clip that I would bring you back in and show you that hump. Now, this is what I was talking about, is this hump that is higher than the rest of the elevation. Now, in those cab mounts are down through there, down through that hole, and you can see the top of that rod sticking down through there. So the cab mounts are on the bottom side of this portion right there. So I actually might be able to lower this section too. I'm not really sure. And again, I'm going to be looking at it. It's kind of like I addressed in the beginning of this video. Sometimes you just got to step back and kind of look at things and kind of get your thought process together on where you're going to go or where you could be going with this thing. Again, I'm not really sure about those seats, those seat elevations. You can get two styles of seats. One is kind of like a low, has a low base on it over a typical air ride truck type of seat. It has a shorter base on it so that it can be used in more confined cab areas. But whether I want to go with that style or go with a conventional style, or where it positions me in relationship to looking out the front window is a big factor in it. So again, got it open, going to be looking at it, going to be trying to get some measurements for seats and maybe kind of set something up in here where a seat position would be. Try to get it in relationship to what that existing steering wheel was and what kind of a view I'm going to get out of the windshield of it. So this is probably going to be it for chapter 37 of the video, but we are progressing. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe. If you know somebody that might be interested in this, share the video too. Okay, until next time.